There's an umbrella by the door. It sort of implies a level of preparation, maybe even inherent power, over the situation we have found our world and our country in for the last year. I think the latter idea, that we have power over our choices and had power in the violence that has unfolded in 2020 and beyond, I think this idea holds a grain of truth. We must have some level of responsibility. Preparedness did seem lacking, however. Did you feel like the world was prepared for the weather that Rankin describes?
I don't think people were prepared for the weather that Rankin describes. I do, however, feel that subconsciously people were prepared to face it in a way.
When you say subconsciously people were prepared, do you mean that on some level people expected this to happen? Has the national climate set a precedent for weather and violence, this storm that Rankin describes?
Yes, I think people, especially people of color, have been witnessing this weather and violence for so long that the events that weather is referring to set the breaking point.
There's a section of the musical accompaniment Weather that calls upon the audience to say their names. They're referring to people unjustly murdered by the arbiters of our so-called justice system, our police force. The length alone of the list gathered for just this performance implies a long history of violence and death, and a political climate created by individual actors, collective systems, and policies that ultimately created a perfect storm. A perfect storm for what? Well, Rankin writes,
I say weather, but I mean a form of governing that deals out death and names it living. I say weather, but I mean a November that won't be held off.
a November that won't be held off. Did you vote? Did you watching this as candidates that equate Black Lives Matter to terrorism win? As candidates from a party that created policies that target marginalized communities win, that empower policemen to unleash violence, that protect the wealth of our oppressors as they are winning in our state. You who are watching this video, did you take the time to keep your promise? If you posted in May about Black Lives Matter, if you claimed to be in support of people of color, if you claimed to be in support of their umbrella, if you claimed you would shield your less privileged neighbors from the rain, did you vote? Or did you leave your friends at the mercy of the weather that's coming?
Not for yesterday, but for the weather that's here, implies that there's nothing we can do to change the past, but rather it is better to face the future and enforce change and prepare for the future. It does no good to dwell on the past. It is better to use that energy to face the problems that are currently facing us.
Vote with your money. Research where your dollars are going. And vote in the primary elections in June. Run for office if you feel so called. Be anything but silent in this storm and the storms that will come to meet us.